Imagine being married for over a decade, believing that your partner had put her past behind her, only to discover that she's been secretly meeting her ex for the past 20 years. The trust you built together, gone in an instant. This is a story of betrayal, remorse, and the struggle to forgive. Can a marriage survive after such a deep betrayal? Can love ever truly heal when it's been shattered by lies and secrets? Today, we look into the heartbreaking journey of a man's shocking discovery that the woman he loved, the woman he trusted, had been living a double life for years. Before we continue with this intense story, hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the real-life shocking infidelity stories that actually happened. If you've ever been let down by someone you loved, this one's for you. In this story, we meet James and Sarah. James, a man who thought he had it all: love, family, a life built on years of trust. And then there's Sarah, his wife, a woman with a past she thought she had left behind. But as James was about to learn, secrets have a way of resurfacing, and the truth can be a lot more painful than anyone expects. But here's the real question. Can you truly forgive someone who has betrayed you for so long? Or is forgiveness just another lie we tell ourselves to avoid facing the truth? Stay with us as we unravel the events that led to James's devastating discovery, and explore what happens when the love you trust the most is the very thing that betrays you. It all began in 2013, when James married the woman he thought was perfect for him. They had both been waiting for the right person, and he was certain she'd be the one to build a future with. But soon, the cracks began to appear. For the first few years, everything seemed perfect. They shared dreams, built a home together, and even planned for children. But like any relationship, there were ups and downs. James noticed small changes in Sarah's behavior, but he brushed them aside, thinking it was just the stress of starting a new life together. Then, in 2015, just 2 years into their marriage, James stumbled upon something that would leave him questioning everything. It was a photo, one he never expected to see. Half-naked selfies of Sarah, sent to an unfamiliar number. His heart sank. Was this a mistake, or something worse? He confronted her immediately, his mind racing with questions. Why would she do this? Who was she sending these photos to? Sarah broke down in tears, confessing that she had been in touch with an old flame during her trip to India. According to Sarah, it was just a brief lapse in judgment. She insisted it was nothing serious, just a moment of weakness. James, desperate to save their marriage, decided to forgive her. He believed her when she said it was over. But this was only the beginning. In the years that followed, things seemed to get better. They went back to their routine, and Sarah promised she had cut off all contact with her ex. James tried to move on, convincing himself that it was just a one-time mistake, a bump in the road. But as much as he tried to forget, James couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The memory of those messages haunted him, and he often found himself wondering if there were more secrets Sarah wasn't telling him. Little did he know, his instincts were right. Sarah's past wasn't just a memory. It was a living, breathing part of their marriage, hiding in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered. In 2014, Sarah went on a trip to India. James trusted her completely. After all, this was his wife, the woman he believed had left her past behind. But what he didn't know was that during that trip, she met up with her ex, someone she'd shared a deep history with. Sarah had assured James that the trip was purely for work and to catch up with family. But in reality, she had planned to meet someone she hadn't seen in years, her ex-boyfriend from college. Their relationship had ended long before she met James. But the feelings, it seemed, never truly faded. That meeting sparked the beginning of a secret that would last for years. They exchanged numbers, promising it was just a friendly catch-up, nothing more. But as they said their goodbyes, they both knew this was far from over. The conversations continued even after Sarah returned home. Late-night messages, flirty exchanges, and reminiscing about their past together. Sarah knew it was wrong, but she couldn't bring herself to stop. And for years, she managed to keep this secret from James. In 2016, James accidentally discovered one of their conversations. He noticed a strange number frequently appearing in her call log and decided to confront her about it. Cornered, Sarah admitted that it was her ex. But she swore it was just casual talk, nothing serious. She promised to cut off contact for good. James wanted to believe her. He needed to believe her. For the sake of their marriage, he decided to give her another chance. But despite her promises, Sarah couldn't stay away. The texting resumed in secret, becoming an emotional affair that spanned nearly a decade. By 2020, their secret conversations had escalated. It wasn't just innocent messages anymore. It was full-blown sexting. Sarah sent intimate photos, reliving moments of their past. And all the while, James had no idea what was happening behind his back. Everything changed in 2023. During a family visit, James borrowed Sarah's phone to take a picture of their kids. As he swiped through the gallery, he stumbled upon a series of photos that were clearly not meant for him. Half-naked selfies, sent just days earlier. His heart raced as he confronted Sarah on the spot. She couldn't deny it this time. With tears streaming down her face, she admitted everything. How she had been in touch with her ex all these years, how the sexting had never really stopped, and how she had broken every promise she made to him. In that moment, James felt his world shatter. Everything he thought he knew about his marriage was a lie. The trust he had in Sarah, the belief that they had moved past her mistakes, was gone. He was left with nothing but betrayal and a broken heart. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a decade-long deception, one that left James questioning everything about his marriage. How could he ever trust her again? And how could they possibly move forward from this? After discovering the explicit photos during their family visit in 2023, James was left reeling. The betrayal was undeniable, and the weight of a decade-long deception bore heavily on his shoulders. That night, he confronted Sarah with a simple but piercing question. Why? Sarah broke down completely. It was as if the dam holding back years of secrets, guilt, and pain finally burst open. She knew there was no more hiding, no more lying. And so, she began to confess. I never meant for it to go this far. I thought I could control it, that it was just a phase, something I'd eventually stop. Sarah cried. She explained how it all started. How meeting her ex in India had rekindled old feelings she thought she had buried. At first, it was just innocent messages, reminiscing about the past. But as time went on, the texts became flirtatious, then romantic, and finally explicit. But this wasn't just about rekindled romance. Sarah's confession took a deeper, darker turn as she revealed the painful truth she had been hiding for years. It wasn't just about him. I've been dealing with things I never told you about. My childhood, the way my brother treated me, the things that happened. I thought I had moved on, but every time I spoke to my ex, it felt like I was escaping that pain, just for a moment. Sarah added. Sarah spoke about the trauma she experienced in her childhood. She recounted how she was molested by her brother when she was young, a secret she had kept buried deep inside her. The emotional scars from that time had never healed, and the unresolved pain bled into her marriage. She admitted that her affair was a way of coping, a misguided attempt to fill the void left by her trauma. Her ex represented a time before the pain, a time when she felt safe and carefree. It was never about love, she insisted. It was about escape. Sarah, also, I know I've hurt you in ways I can never take back. I know saying sorry isn't enough. I was selfish, I was scared, and I was broken. But I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to face my own demons. James sat there in silence, listening to his wife pour out her heart. The anger he felt was still there, simmering beneath the surface. But he couldn't ignore the pain in her voice, the sincerity in her eyes. For the first time, he saw a side of Sarah he never knew existed. A side she had kept hidden, even from herself. The confession didn't end there. Sarah went on to reveal how the affair spiraled out of control. She described the thrill she felt at first, the rush of secrecy, but how it quickly turned into a burden she couldn't escape from. Every text, every call, was a reminder of her betrayal. I hated myself every time I sent him a message. I wanted to stop, but it felt like I was trapped in this cycle, like I was punishing myself for all the things I'd never dealt with. Sarah confessed. James felt an overwhelming mix of emotions. Anger at the betrayal, sadness for the pain Sarah had endured, and an unexpected sense of pity. He realized that the woman he married, the mother of his children, was deeply wounded in ways he never understood. By the end of the confession, both of them were in tears. It was as if years of secrets, lies, and unspoken pain had finally come to the surface. For James, it felt like a new chapter was beginning. A painful, uncertain chapter, but one where everything was laid bare. I know I've destroyed the trust between us. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know the truth. All of it, Sarah added. For the first time in their marriage, they were facing the raw truth together. There were no more secrets, no more lies, just the painful reality of what had happened and the long, uncertain road ahead. Sarah's confession laid bare the hidden pain she had carried for years, revealing a deeply troubled past she had never confronted. But for James, the revelation was only the beginning of their journey. To truly understand the depth of her actions, they both knew it was time to seek help, a way to navigate the storm of emotions and traumas that had finally come to light. In an attempt to mend the broken pieces of their relationship, they decided to start couples counseling. But before they could address the infidelity, they needed to confront the root of Sarah's unresolved pain, her childhood trauma. Sarah, taking a deep breath, her voice trembling, she started. It started when I was a child. My brother, he would come into my room at night. I was just a little girl, and I didn't understand what was happening. I felt dirty, ashamed, and I never told anyone. Not my parents, not my friends. I carried that secret with me for years. For the first time, James heard the full extent of what Sarah had gone through. The molestation by her brother, the years of silence, and the deep-seated shame that followed her into adulthood. Therapist asked, "James, how are you feeling after hearing this?" James replied, struggling to find the right words, his voice choked with emotion. I had no idea. I always knew something was wrong, something she was hiding, but I never imagined this. I'm angry at what happened to her. Angry at the years we lost because of this pain she carried alone. But I'm also angry at her for not telling me, for letting it destroy us like this. The therapist guided them through the tangled web of emotions. Anger, guilt, sorrow. It became clear that the affair was less about love or lust and more about an attempt to escape the pain she had never dealt with. Sarah had been using the thrill of her secret relationship as a distraction from her unresolved trauma. Therapist, let's talk about why you reached out to your ex. What were you seeking in that relationship that you felt you couldn't get elsewhere? Sarah pauses, thinking deeply before responding. Felt like a way to escape. When I talked to him, I felt free from my past, from the pain that haunted me every day. He reminded me of a time before everything went wrong. It was like trying to go back to a place where I felt safe, even if it was just for a moment. The therapist explained how trauma can create a cycle of self-sabotage, where the victim unknowingly makes choices that perpetuate their suffering. Sarah's affair was a way of punishing herself, a twisted attempt to validate the negative beliefs she held about her worth. Therapist, James, understanding what Sarah has been through doesn't erase the pain of her betrayal. How do you feel about moving forward from this point? James sighs deeply, looking at Sarah with a mix of sadness and empathy. I'm still hurt, still angry, but I also see her pain now. I see a woman who's been suffering in silence for years. I don't know if I can ever fully forgive what she did, but I want to try, not just for us, but for our kids. They deserve to see us at least try to heal. This moment marked a turning point in their therapy. James began to see the affair not as a rejection of him, but as a cry for help from a woman drowning in her own trauma. It was the beginning of a slow, painful process of understanding and healing. The road ahead was long and uncertain. Sarah continued her individual therapy sessions, peeling back the layers of her trauma, confronting the demons she had run from for so long. And James, despite his anger, chose to stay, at least for now, trying to see if there was a way to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. Their story was far from over, but for the first time, they were facing it together, not as a perfect couple, but as two flawed people trying to heal. They had a long way to go, but maybe, just maybe, There was a chance for forgiveness, a chance for a new beginning. Even as they began the slow and painful process of therapy, James found himself at a crossroads. The betrayal had shattered his trust, and despite understanding Sarah's traumatic past, the questions gnawed at him. Could he ever forgive her? And if he did, could he ever truly trust her again? Therapist: James, you've been through a lot. It's okay to not have all the answers right now. But tell me, what are you most afraid of? James takes a deep breath, his voice heavy with emotion. I'm afraid that no matter what I do, I'll never be able to look at her the same way again. I want to forgive her, but every time I close my eyes, I see her with him. I hear the lies she told me. How do I get past that? James was grappling with conflicting emotions. Part of him wanted to leave, to escape the pain and betrayal. But another part of him still loved Sarah, still wanted to believe that their marriage could survive this storm. He remembered one evening he met his friend Mark in the bar and they talked. Mark, his friend, asked, "You look like you've been through hell, man. How are you holding up?" James takes a sip of his drink, sighing heavily. I don't even know, Mark. One moment I want to pack up and leave, and the next I think about our kids, about everything we've built together. I can't just walk away from that. Mark, I get it, but you need to figure out what you want. You can't stay with her just because of the kids. That's not fair to anyone. But if you do stay, you've got to find a way to let this go. You can't live like this, man. Trapped between wanting to forgive and drowning in resentment. Mark's words hit James hard. He knew he was standing at a precipice. One step forward could lead to healing, while a step back might mean the end of everything he had once cherished. As James walked, memories of their life together flooded his mind. Good moments, bad moments, and everything in between. He remembered their first date, the birth of their first child, the late-night talks where they dreamed of a future together. Felt like a lifetime ago. He had loved her deeply, more than he had ever loved anyone. But now, love wasn't enough. He needed to decide if he could rebuild what had been broken, or if the scars were too deep to heal. James whispering to himself, "How do I forgive you, Sarah? How do I forgive myself for not seeing it sooner?" Forgiveness wasn't just about her actions. It was about his own pain, his own sense of failure. He felt like he had let his guard down, that he should have seen the signs. But he hadn't, and now he was left questioning everything he knew about love, trust, and marriage. Therapist: James, you've been quiet today. Is there something you'd like to share? James looks at Sarah, then back at the therapist. I've been thinking a lot about why I stayed, why I didn't just leave the moment I found out. And I realized it's because I still believe in us. I still believe that, despite everything, there's a part of us worth fighting for. But it's going to be hard. I need to know if you're willing to fight for it too, Sarah. Sarah, tears welling up in her eyes. She nods. I am. I know I hurt you, and I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this right, to be the woman you thought I was. This was the moment of truth. James didn't have all the answers, and he knew the road ahead was going to be rocky. But for the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope. A small but real possibility that maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to each other. The husband's dilemma was not just about forgiving his wife. It was about forgiving himself for the love he still held for her, despite the betrayal. It was about choosing to believe in the possibility of healing, even when every instinct told him to run. It was a choice to rebuild one painful step at a time. After months of therapy, long conversations, and sleepless nights, James and Sarah found themselves standing at the edge of a new beginning. But their story doesn't have a neat resolution. In many ways, it's still being written. Sarah, do you think we'll ever truly get past this? James pauses, then looks into her eyes. I don't know. I wish I could give you a clear answer. But what I do know is that I'm willing to try, even if it takes years. What about you, Sarah? I want to believe we can. I'm scared, but I'm also hopeful. Maybe that's enough for now. Their marriage is like a delicate thread, frayed but not broken. The wounds are still fresh, but so is the desire to heal. They've chosen to take it one day at a time, not knowing if this fragile truce will hold or if it will unravel again. Some might say that forgiveness is a choice you make once, But in reality, it's a choice you make every single day. Every time James looks at Sarah, he has to decide, will he let the past define their future? Or will he give them both a chance to write a new chapter together? James, I never imagined this would be our story. I thought we were invincible, that our love could weather anything. But now I know love isn't just about the good moments. It's about what you choose to do when everything falls apart. And that's where we leave James and Sarah. Not at the end of their journey, but somewhere in the middle. Their story is far from over, and the truth is we may never know how it ends. Maybe they find a way to rebuild, or maybe they realize they're better off apart. Either way, it's a story that reflects a reality many of us face. Navigating the complex, messy aftermath of betrayal and trying to find our way back to trust. What do you think? Can a marriage survive a betrayal this deep? Or is it doomed to crumble under the weight of broken trust? We want to hear from you. Have you or someone you know experienced something similar? How did you navigate it? Did you choose to forgive? Or did you decide it was better to walk away? Your stories could help others who are struggling with the same questions. If you've watched this video to this point, we believe you enjoyed this video and want to see more real-life stories like this one. Now hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support helps us continue to bring you content that resonates and inspires. Life is unpredictable, and relationships are even more so. We may never know what the future holds for James and Sarah, but one thing is clear. They're willing to face it, one uncertain step at a time. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most hopeful ending of all. If you found this story powerful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. Your support helps us bring more real-life stories to light. If you've been captivated by this story, then we have so much more to share with you. Real-life experiences, raw emotions, and complex relationship stories. Our channel is all about exploring the stories that truly happened. But we can't do it without you. If you want to hear more incredible stories like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. It's the best way to stay updated with our latest content. And don't forget to turn on post notifications. That little bell icon ensures you never miss an upload. You'll be the first to know when a new story drops, so you can dive in right away. We want to keep bringing you stories that resonate, inspire, and maybe even help you see your own experiences in a new light. Your support means everything to us. So go ahead, hit subscribe, like this video, and leave us a comment with your thoughts. We're here to create a space where your voice is heard, your stories matter, and together, we can explore the highs and lows of relationships, love, and life. Thank you for watching. We can't wait to share more stories with you. See you in the next video.